Echoes in the void. Talia Nakamura frowned at the readouts on her tablet. For the third cycle in a row, the bioluminescent fronds of her Centauri moss were pulsing in patterns that defied explanation. The delicate blue-green tendrils seemed to be reaching toward something beyond the hydroponics bay's sealed environment, something that shouldn't exist in the sterile confines of Outpost. Helios. Responding to nothing again? Dr. Walton asked, passing behind her with a smirk. Talia didn't bother responding. After 6 months, as the only xenobotanist on this remote research station, she'd grown accustomed to her colleagues' skepticism. The outpost orbited an unremarkable star on the galaxy's outer rim. Staffed by 12 humans whose main purpose was cataloging potentially habitable exoplanets, botanists were low in the scientific hierarchy here, especially ones who claimed their plants were listening to space. She adjusted her dark ponytail and leaned closer to the growth chamber. "What are you hearing that I can't?" she whispered. The station's alert chime interrupted her musings. "Attention all personnel. Incoming vessel requesting emergency docking. Protocol 7, in effect. Protocol 7 first contact procedures." Talia's heart raced as she secured her. Laban hurried to the observation deck. The approaching ship resembled a manta ray crafted from burnished copper. All smooth curves and elegant efficiency. It was unlike any vessel in the Earth's Alliance registry. Station Commander Jimenez stood rigid as the airlock cycled open. "Remember, we represent humanity. No sudden movements." The being that emerged moved with liquid grace. Tall and slender, with skin like polished obsidian that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. For arms, the lower pair slightly smaller, all ending in 6-fingered hands. But it was the eyes that captured Talia's attention, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle. Iridescent purple, with horizontal pupils that contracted slightly in the station's bright lights. "I am Dorvin, research specialist of the Nerithy Collective," the visitor said. Voice melodic with an undertone that reminded Talia of cello strings. "I come seeking knowledge of unusual, energetic anomalies in this sector." While the commander exchanged formal greetings, Talia noticed something odd. Her plant samples in the observation deck's display case were bending toward the visitor, just as they had been doing in her lab reaching, straining against the glass. Later, assigned as Dorvin's scientific liaison due to her experience with non-terrestrial biology, Talia led him toward the research quarters. "Your plants respond to me," Dorvin stated abruptly. Talia stopped walking. "You noticed, my species perceives bioelectrical fields. Your specimens have unusual patterns, reaching outward, seeking connection. Rare behavior for non-sentient organisms. They've been doing that for weeks, but not toward humans," Talia said. "What makes you different?" Dorvin's middle eye fixed on her, while the outer pair scanned their surroundings. "Perhaps the same thing that brought me here. Something calls from the void between your station and my homeworld. I followed its echo across 17 star systems." "That's impossible," Talia whispered. But even as she spoke, she recalled the inexplicable readings. The patterns that appeared in her moss growth charts, patterns that resembled signal waves. "Many things are called impossible until they are understood," Dorvin replied. All 3 eyes now focused intensely on her face. "I believe your plants hear what my people hear, and I believe you, Talia Nakamura, might help me discover what it is saying." Patterns in stardust. Talia adjusted the sensitivity on the scanner, her fingertips brushing against Dorvin's as they both reached for the control panel. She pulled back instinctively, still unaccustomed to the cool silk texture of his skin. "Your discomfort is unnecessary," Dorvin said, 3 eyes blinking in their unsynchronized pattern that she was beginning to recognize as amusement. "Our biochemistries are incompatible for any form of contamination." "It's not that," Talia replied, focusing intently on the readouts. "Humans just have different personal space boundaries." "Fascinating. My species touches frequently. We communicate through bioelectrical fields that are enhanced by proximity." 3 weeks had passed since Dorvin's arrival, and the station had settled into an uneasy routine around their visitor. Most crew members maintained a professional distance, but Talia found herself spending increasingly long hours in Dorvin's company as they investigated the mysterious signals lab they shared was now a curious blend of human technology and the elegant instruments Dorvin had brought from his ship. At the center sat their greatest collaboration, a modified hydroponics chamber where Talia's most responsive moss samples grew around a Nairothi sensing crystal. The frequency pattern has changed again, she noted, pointing to the oscillating lines on the display. It's getting stronger. Dorvin extended his lower right hand, hovering it over the moss. The fronds reached upward, their bioluminescence intensifying. They are receiving information, he said. As am I. Talia watched, fascinated, as the iridescent purple of his eyes brightened slightly. What do you perceive? Patterns, mathematics. Something ancient is transmitting coordinates. Dorvin lowered his hand. The source is within the asteroid belt that orbits the fifth planet. Later that night, unable to sleep, Talia found Dorvin in the observation lounge, his tall form silhouetted against the viewport. Beyond the glass, the distant asteroid belt was barely visible, a smudge of darker black against the star-studded void. Do your people dream? She asked, joining him. We experience memory processing during rest cycles, he answered, but not like humans do. Commander Jimenez explained dreaming to me. It sounds ... chaotic. It can be. Talia smiled. Tonight I couldn't sleep because I was thinking about what might be out there. Sending signals that only plants and Nairothi can detect? Dorvin turned to her, his movement fluid as water. My superiors believe it may be technology from the precursors of civilization that seeded multiple species across this galaxy before disappearing. We have found their artifacts before. You never mentioned this. There are many things my people do not share easily. Dorvin's upper hands performed a complex gesture. But I find myself wanting to share with you, Talia Nakamura. You approach the unknown with wonder rather than fear. The admission hung between them, significant in ways Talia couldn't fully articulate. Before she could respond, the station shuddered violently. Alarm klaxons wailed as they stumbled toward the command center. Commander Jimenez was already there, face grim as she studied damage reports. Power fluctuations throughout the station, she announced. Engineering reports unknown energy waves interfering with our systems. On the main screen, energy readings pulsed in a familiar pattern, the same pattern from Talia's plants. From Dorvin's sensors, it's no longer just transmitting, Dorvin said quietly, for Talia alone. It's awakening. Their eyes met in shared understanding. Whatever ancient thing slumbered among the asteroids, it was no longer content to merely signal its presence. It wanted to be found. Whispers among asteroids, the research vessel's engines hummed as Talia guided it through the outer edge of the asteroid belt. Beside her, Dorvin monitored the signal strength. All three of his eyes narrowed in concentration. Adjust course 15 degrees starboard, he said. The emanations are strongest from that cluster. Commander Jimenez had reluctantly authorized their expedition after the station experienced 2 more power surges. Find whatever's causing this and neutralize it, she'd ordered. You have 48 hours before I send a distress call to Earth Alliance. Talia maneuvered between floating rocks, some small as her fist, others massive as mountains. There she pointed to an asteroid roughly 2 kilometers across, its surface unusually smooth. That doesn't look natural. As they approached, a faint blue luminescence became visible, pulsing from within cracks in the asteroid's surface. The pattern matched exactly what they'd observed in Talia's plants. Remarkable, Dorvin whispered. It bears similarities to Nairothi Biolite's organic technology we developed for deep space navigation. Before Talia could respond, a massive shadow loomed overhead. A rogue asteroid, spinning rapidly, had broken from its orbit. Evasive maneuvers. She shouted, yanking the controls. Too late, the asteroid clipped their starboard engine. Warning lights flashed across the console as the ship spun wildly. Talia fought for control, managing to direct their crippled vessel toward a large, hollowed asteroid near Betha, abandoned remains of a human mining operation. They crashed through the opening, skidding across the metal floor of the extraction facility before coming to a jarring halt. Are you injured? Dorvin asked in the sudden silence, his voice carrying genuine concern. Talia ran a mental inventory. Just bruised. You. Narathi physiology is resilient to impact trauma, he replied, already examining the damage reports. Our communications array is destroyed. The emergency beacon activated automatically. But in this asteroid field, it could be days before they find us, Talia finished. They salvaged what they could from the ship emergency rations, thermal blankets, portable scanners. The mining facility still contained basic life support and emergency power. A small mercy. As artificial night fell in the facility's programmed cycle, they huddled in what had once been the operations center. A single light casting long shadows. Tell me about your homeworld, Talia said. Wrapping a blanket around her shoulders against the chill, Dorvan's outer eyes closed briefly, a gesture she now recognized as nostalgia. Neroth orbits a red dwarf star. Our cities float on vast oceans under skies the color of your Earth amethysts. We build in spirals, always connecting back to central community hubs. It sounds beautiful, Talia murmured. We have no word that directly translates to beautiful, Dorvan admitted. The closest concept is harmoniously functional. My people value efficiency over aesthetics. Yet you create art, Talia observed, gesturing to the intricate patterns etched into his equipment. Those designs aren't purely functional. Dorvan's skin rippled slightly, his equivalent of a smile. You perceive well for a species with only 2 eyes. The light flickered, then stabilized. In that momentary darkness, Talia felt Dorvan move closer. The subtle bioelectric field that surrounded him, brushing against her awareness. Among my kind, he said softly, there are those like me who seek more than function, who believe connection transcends efficiency. His upper hand hovered near her face, not quite touching. May I? Heart racing, Talia nodded. His fingertips brushed her temple with ethereal lightness. And suddenly, she felt it a whisper of his consciousness, alien yet familiar, curious and wondering. This is how my people truly communicate, Dorvan explained, his voice sounding distant beneath the gentle current now flowing between them. Thoughts without words. Feeling without confusion, Talia raised her own hand hesitantly, placing it against his chest where multiple hearts beat in complex rhythm. And this is how humans often begin. Beneath alien skies, the rescue shuttle docked with a metallic clang that echoed through the abandoned mining facility. Talia gathered her notes while Dorvan collected his instruments. Both avoiding mention of what had transpired between them during 3 days of isolation, Lieutenant Rodriguez entered first. Rifle raised despite Commander Jimenez's assurances about their visitors' peaceful intentions. Secure, he announced, eyeing Dorvan warily. The journey back to Outpost Helios passed in uncomfortable silence. Talia noticed Rodriguez slip something to a colleague credit chits changing hands. They'd been betting on whether she'd return alive. Your crew distrusts me more now, Dorvan observed quietly. They're just protective, Talia replied. Though she'd noticed the shift too, Commander Jimenez was waiting in the docking bay, her expression grim. We have visitors, she said without preamble. A Nirathi vessel arrived 6 hours ago, much larger than Dorvan's scout ship. Talia felt Dorvan stiffen beside her. Overseer Mavic, he said. My superior. The Nirathi delegation waited in the conference room. Overseer Mavic towered over Dorvan by nearly a foot, his obsidian skin bearing elaborate scarification that glowed faintly blue. His forearms remained perfectly still as Dorvan offered a formal greeting. Your assignment was to observe and report, Mavic said, ignoring the humans present. Not to form unauthorized alliances or expose yourself to capture. My mission evolved as new data emerged, Dorvan replied evenly. Mavic's 3 eyes flicked briefly to Talia. Indeed, the collective is concerned about your methods. Later, after a tense diplomatic exchange where Commander Jimenez firmly established the station's neutral scientific status, Talia found Dorvan in the hydroponics bay. His plants had withered slightly during her absence. You didn't tell me you were just here to observe us, she said, hurt evident in her voice. The Nirathi have been monitoring multiple species since detecting your first radio transmissions, Dorvan admitted. Standard protocol for encountering potentially volatile civilizations. Volatile. Talia stepped back. That's how you see us? It's how the collective sees you. Not how I see you. Dorvin moved toward her, then stopped when she retreated further. My people fear what they don't understand. Emotions, unpredictability. And what exactly have you been reporting about me? Talia demanded. Dorvin's middle eye fixed on her intensely. That you perceive connections others miss? That you represent the best potential of humanity curiosity over conquest. The hydroponics bay door slid open before she could respond. Overseer Mavic entered, his gaze calculating as it moved between them. Specialist Dorvin, you will return to our vessel immediately. Your contamination by human emotion requires treatment. I am not contaminated, Dorvin replied, his voice carrying a resonance Talia hadn't heard before. I have expanded. Mavic's scarification pulsed brighter. You forget yourself. The human female has affected your judgment. Her name is Talia Nakamura, Dorvin said, moving subtly between them. And she has shown me something the collective has forgotten, that true understanding requires vulnerability. You would choose her over your people? I would choose growth over stagnation, Dorvin replied. He turned to Talia, extending all four hands in a gesture she recognized from their shared consciousness, absolute truth. I was sent to study humans. Yes, but I stayed because of you. Because in your presence, I feel ... awakened. The confession hung in the air between three beings from two worlds. As delicate and powerful as the signal that had first brought them together. Beyond the stars reached the station's emergency sirens blared for the third time that week. Talia raced toward the command center, nearly colliding with Dorvin in the corridor. The signal from the asteroid, he said as they ran. It's intensifying exponentially. The command center was chaos officers monitoring rapidly changing readings, while Commander Jimenez coordinated with both the Nirathi vessel and Earth Alliance headquarters. On the main view screen, the asteroid they had visited now glowed visibly, pulsing with blue-white energy that stretched outward in tendrils. It's creating a subspace distortion, Overseer Mavic announced, his scarification patterns flashing with agitation. The phenomenon will affect both this station and the Nirathi homeworld if it continues expanding. Talia studied the energy patterns. They match exactly what my plants have been growing toward, she said. And look, she pointed to secondary readings. The molecular structure is similar to Dorvin's sensing crystals. Understanding dawned in Dorvin's three eyes. It's not a weapon or a beacon, he said. It's a seed. Working feverishly, they combine Nirathi sensing technology with Talia's xenobotanical knowledge. The ancient artifact likely left by the precursors millennia ago was attempting to germinate, creating subspace tendrils that could potentially link distant star systems instantaneously. A biological hyperspace network, Talia breathed. It's beautiful, and deadly in its current uncontrolled state. Mavic added grimly. Their solution required both human adaptation and Nirathi precision. While engineers from both species modified the station's deflector array, Talia prepared a specialized growth medium that could channel the artifact's energy. Dorvin calibrated the frequencies needed to communicate with the ancient technology. It requires simultaneous activation from both sides of the distortion field, Dorvin explained. Someone must take a shuttle to the coordinate point nearest Nirath. Overseer Mavic's outer eyes narrowed. I will send a pilot. No, Dorvin countered. The interface requires someone who understands both the biological and technological components. I should go. Talia met his gaze across the room, a silent understanding passing between them. Their connection had deepened beyond words in the weeks since the rescue. Despite the political complications surrounding them, as Dorvin prepared to depart, Talia joined him in the shuttle bay. This plan is either brilliance or madness, she said, helping him load the final components. The line between them is often merely perspective, he replied, his voice carrying the harmonic undertone she had come to treasure. They stood close, the shuttle's pre-launch sequence counting down around them. When this is over, Talia said quietly, what happens to us? You return to your people? I too, mine? Dorvin's four hands moved in that beautiful, fluid gesture of his people. The collective has requested a permanent scientific exchange program with humanity, focusing on the precursor technology. They require a human representative with specific xenobotanical expertise. Alia's breath caught. And you? I have been assigned as liaison officer. His middle eye fixed on hers, while his outer pair scanned her face with undisguised affection. Should you accept the position, we would work closely together. On Nearith, the implications washed over her leaving Earth, becoming the first human to live among the Nearithi, building something entirely new with this being, who had crossed 17 star systems to find her. The shuttle bay warning lights flashed. Time was short. We still have much to learn about each other, Talia said, reaching for his hand. Yes, Dorvin agreed, fingers intertwining with hers in a gesture that bridged their worlds. And that is precisely why we must continue. Hours later, as the ancient artifact's energy was successfully channeled into a controlled network of subspace pathways, two beings from different worlds initiated first contact of an entirely new kind of bridge. Between species that promised to reach beyond the stars themselves